Most of them are made in China, and most of them are made in our factory. Yeah, I'm telling you. But why these luxury brands never tell you that? Because they are trying to pretend to be products of some sophisticated European countries like Italy or France.
We are going to be successful. Since a few weeks the shop was open, we sell the most expensive products in a country where everybody was going by.
Saw a slowdown and a contraction in the global luxury market. About 50 million people either opted out or were forced out of the luxury market over the past 2 years.
I do feel people started to get tired of purchasing products and realize that we just bought too much and it didn't really make us.
All right, this is more than a fashion emergency. This is the end of fashion. Not only is Louis Vuitton in vogue for the wrong reasons, but it may be about to go out of business entirely. And by that, I mean close the doors, turn off the lights, contact your accountant, and empty the purses. Completed since this is the most recent bombshell, the fundamental core of Louis Vuitton's brand. Its Monogram Collection is said to have been forced to close, following shocking allegations that the designs were stolen, not copied, and not inspired. And now there are rumors that flagship stores in New York, Paris, London, and Tokyo are closing permanently.
You recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very...
Executives are referring to it as a strategic halt. That is what I refer to as a slow-motion corporate catastrophe. The actual kicker is right here. This feels like déjà vu, not just Java vu, because all of this stems from the same type of claims of design fraud that destroyed Hermes earlier this year. The most influential fashion houses are accused of stealing from independent designers and reselling their creations to the general public for hundreds of dollars.
The chip came out. A little over 1 square foot of vaqueta leather came out. 2 different finishes. The best vaqueta leathers in the market is $7, $8. At their level, let's give them $10. And you need 2 square foot. So $20 for the leather, $5 for the materials, inner linings, fabrics, authentication, chip, and $10 for the...
Encased in the appearance of exclusivity, yes. The monogram prints that individuals get tattooed on their bodies, that celebrities flaunt as awards, and that people really use credit cards to purchase, may not even be authentic. Let me interrupt you if you're thinking that Louis Vuitton will never go this way. The receipts are piling up. Products are disappearing from the website, storefronts are abruptly closing, and LVMH is becoming silent. It's not a strategy. That's culpability. They were apprehended, and the empire may now be in disarray. Let's examine what caused this conflagration.
Steal less than 60 euros to make a handbag that it sells for nearly 3,000 euros. That's what Italian authorities found out when they raided factories making products for Dior and other fashion brands like...
Okay, let's go.
The collection of monograms, the Louis Vuitton Sacred Cow, the design that makes it instantly identifiable on red carpets, and in airport lounges, the gold emblem of wealth and prestige, but now purportedly the largest scam in the history of contemporary fashion. Viral leaks and designer forums claim that the monogram design wasn't even a Louis Vuitton original. The charge is catastrophic. There are claims that someone at LVMH stole a nearly identical pattern from a long-gone family-run artisan firm in Spain back in the early 1990s. The storyline twist, and a collection that has been hidden in archives up until now after decades of silence. The relatives of the original artist have filed a lawsuit against the artisan family that preserved the proof documents, sketchbooks, and material samples. They are allegedly suing, not merely seeking recognition. This is more than simply a copyright dispute. If this case is successful, it may indicate that the monogram print was never theirs in the first place, meaning that every monogram purse, scarf, and item in that collection that has been sold over the previous 30 years was created falsely. This is absurd, in my opinion. Indeed, Louis Vuitton created an empire rather than merely a brand based on that pattern. The monogram print represents their whole identity and goes beyond simple decorating. It's how they gave the appearance that they were part of a rare craftsmanship lineage. And the arrogant gatekeeping attitude they have about safeguarding their designs if it turns out they stole it, that arrogant attitude toward knockoffs and counterfeits, yes, all of that was a projection. It's like learning that your favorite Michelin-starred chef has been serving microwave TV meals for the past 20 years, to be honest. Just put a logo on it and hope no one notices. Let's now discuss the Mess's Ice Queen. Arno Delin. She isn't just any old executive. She is a member of the fashion elite and the daughter of Bernard Arnault, the head of LVMH and, by some accounts, the richest man in Europe. Delphine was carefully chosen to guard the Louis Vuitton name as if it were the most valuable asset. And she shuts everything down after this bombshell is dropped. Shuts off the Monogram Collection for the night. There was only a general mention of shifting the brand's focus and simplifying the product line. No press conference, no comprehensive statement. Please, girl, this was a digital crime scene cleanup, not a streamlined process. And here's the thing, I believe she has been aware of this for some time, perhaps even years. And whole global collection shouldn't be canceled so quickly unless the exposure risk is already imminent. Think about it. I believe she waited as long as she could before pressing the kill switch when the receipt began to appear online. Instead, she ghosted nuked the product line. If the monogram was really theirs, then wouldn't she protect it and prosecute them for defamation? Like a lousy public relations intern, I canceled. That appears to be terror rather than strength. Furthermore, it seems to me that this issue extends well beyond a stolen pattern if Delin Arno, the face of luxury's future, had to close the entire collection in order to preserve her career. It begs the question, what else is fake? This is where things become even more chaotic. Louis Vuitton boutiques in New York, Paris, and London as of this week. According to reports, Tokyo and Milan are temporarily shuttered. Some claim it's for remodeling, but if you think I'm trying to sell you a bridge in Brooklyn, this isn't remodeling. Rather, it's damage control on a scale never seen in high-end fashion. Locations of flagship stores that never close are abruptly and unexpectedly going black. Emails informing customers that their orders have been canceled according to reports. HR departments are ignoring communications and telling employees to stay at home until further notice. On Reddit, some workers are even making anonymous posts claiming they received no justification for the shutdown. This is very similar to what you do when attempting to prevent a leak. It is not a business pivot when lawsuits have already been filed and you are aware that media are circling. This is a complete retreat. Consider the timing. It is said that the Monogram Collection is made public. Lawsuits begin to appear then. Like dominoes, stores start to close one city at a time. It isn't a coincidence. Here's the bit that truly bothers me. That's a controlled demolition. How serious is the consequence from this if Louis Vuitton is prepared to close billion-dollar stores to conceal it? This doesn't seem like a single stolen print. This seems to be just the beginning. And they must be willing to accept this degree of loss since the truth is worse than the alternative. Like a tidal wave, the ripple effects are already crashing into the rest of the luxury sector. And to be honest, they're not prepared. Because Louis Vuitton, a company so well known that it essentially wrote the book on luxury, could end up looking like this: who is safe, Fendi or Dior? Lou. Last year, Gucci barely made it through its own production scandal, and the aftermath from the Birkin disaster is still dragging her down. You can sense the worry as the entire industry now appears brittle, like a house of cards constructed on exclusivity and rehashed logos. It is visible to you. Influencers who formerly boasted about their lifelong items have suddenly stopped talking. Stylists are rushing to preserve photos from the red carpet. The topic is being changed by fashion editors. Vogue is strangely silent as well. You believe that to be a coincidence, but I don't. I believe that this revealed the truth that everyone knew but was afraid to speak aloud. Luxury now means power, control, and maintaining the illusion at any cost rather than workmanship. These companies persuaded us that the $2,000 bags were stitched investments, similar to stocks. It seemed like you were entering a secret society of status and elegance when you were gatekeeping your way into a boutique, but now we're seeing the reality. The whole illusion is made out of mirrors and smoke. It was thin and delicate, and all it took was one lawsuit to break it. Oh, the resale market is also in a panic. Prices have plummeted. On StockX, a monogram that was once worth $3,000 has been cut in half. Because once that logo is compromised, the game is done. The price drops, the prestige dies, and the investment turns into a glorified duffel bag. Resellers are clearing out their inventory like it's fire sale season. Since the legal floodgates are already opening, and I believe a legal carnage is imminent, let's discuss lawsuits. Louis Vuitton has already been accused of stealing the work of several independent designers, and their claims are supported by documentation, emails, drawings, photographs, and patent applications. There is even a myth that a designer sample from a 1993 Fashion Week showing inexplicably vanished before resurfacing years later as a new LV release. And here's the thing, these aren't just any Etsy artists tossing stones. If that's the case, it's stealing with documentation, not inspiration. These are seasoned professionals who have been patiently gathering evidence to support their claims for some time. With their papers in hand, they are emerging from the shadows now that Louis Vuitton's walls are crumbling. And it won't simply be a PR catastrophe if even one of these lawsuits succeeds. It will be a death sentence for finances. Since LVMH owns more than just Louis Vuitton, Dior, Celine, Givenchy, Fendi is owned by them. Hublot, Loewe, Tiffany, the list goes on. If it is established that one company has made money off of design theft, the door remains open and all other companies that fall under that category are exposed to the same charges. Yes, I believe that's what frightens them. Not the controversy per se, but the precedent it establishes, since if Louis Vuitton loses in court, the entire luxury industry will be held accountable for decades of imaginative appropriation masquerading as respect. No one should hear this section, but they are speaking quietly and anonymously, and it is blaming Louis Vuitton staff members. From sales workers to back-end IT is beginning to leak information, and I'm not just referring to hazy rumors, I'm talking about detailed accounts of internal turmoil. According to reports, salespeople were instructed not to respond to inquiries on the Monogram Collection. Some claim that new scripts with statements like, "We're phasing out to make room for innovation," or "We're evolving our brand identity," were supplied to them. Complete gibberish are pretentious ways of expressing, "We're concealing the evidence." Overnight, some internal designers were fired from their jobs. Meetings were canceled. There was an indefinite delay in collections. Several posts on Reddit and Glassdoor detail how leadership abandoned creative teams, leaving them in the dark for days. The most outrageous leak of all was when an accused IT contractor said he and his team were instructed to erase all design drives before the weekend. Simply gone, just a vague order from above to clean the house with no explanation. That doesn't seem like regular upkeep. The NDAs are flying, and it sounds like a cover-up in progress. That's the sole reason a full-scale whistleblower expose hasn't happened yet, but here's the problem with NDAs. They don't last long, particularly when the money stops coming in and people start being blamed, and you know that someone will lose it. There is always someone who "this is where I land" then. It has been reported that Louis Vuitton is discontinuing its most recognizable collection due to their eventual exposure. Shops are closing. There will soon be lawsuits. The fashion industry is collapsing. And the lack of response from LVMH, the loudest portion, is that. I believe that this marks the start of the end for LV as we know it. Not due to a single poor design, but rather because they established a legacy based on deception, which is now being exposed. If you ask me, this is more than just a controversy. It's a reset button for the luxury market, and perhaps it's time because if Louis Vuitton's house can fail, perhaps it wasn't that strong in the first place.